Okay, today I want to share with you what my fifth grader has been reading probably the last couple of months. And also I'm probably going to share some books that usually my boys would read around this age. Hi, welcome to Learning with Boys. If you are new here, my name is Rachel. I am a homeschool mom of 4 boys. I have graduated too, and this past school year I had a 5th grader and a 10th grader. We are done. We are starting our summer. And so next school year, they'll be in 6th and 11th. So today I want to share some books that he has been reading. And if you have watched any of my videos, that you know that his top interest is World War II things, but he has really been starting to pick up other books and some different genres. So I want to share that with you. And also I want to mention that I really feel like for all my boys, this age, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, and sometimes even 8th, I really feel like the reading really starts picking up. So finding some really good books that will help them in just learning about different things and learning about good character qualities are helpful. It is also nice to read something fun and adventurous at the same time. So I'm excited to be sharing these with you and what he has been reading. Okay. I'm going to start with a few that are World War II related, and one is Great Escapes of World War II, and this is a Scholastic book, and I probably purchased it used somewhere, and I actually think it was in one of my book hauls that I did a video on recently. I can't keep them all straight. So this book I feel like has been on our shelf a long time, and I'm not sure if any of the other boys have read it. He really liked it. It is The Commandos of World War II. And he was excited. He has heard of that and wanted to read something about it. And it is a landmarks book, and I would like to find some more that are similar. I need to look. I know this one is really old, so I need to probably look for something used for him. I'm not sure if they still sell something like that. Another one is a historical fiction from the Civil War era, and it is Shades of Grey. And this one has been on my shelf for a long time, and I think most of the boys have read this book. I think all of them actually have. So, and he really enjoyed this. A lot of these books he read pretty quickly. He'll sort of pick up a book and he will read it like in a day or two, and then he'll, I didn't bring all of his books because he has some big books with World War II machinery and the history of the battles and that kind of stuff. And sometimes he'll look through those. So he's sort of back and forth. The next one is Guns for General Washington, the story of the American Revolution. And I have seen this book probably in different curriculums. So, and I want to mention this is a series of books, and I know we can get it at our library. I know I actually used to have a small set that I think I probably found at a yard sale, and my boys had read through them, but I must have got rid of them. So I think I must have picked this one up at a thrift store, but it's the Dear America books, and this is the Journal of William Emerson, a Revolutionary War patriot. So like I said, you can get these at the library. He liked it. We may try to look for more. I've actually read a couple of these myself, and they were really good. All right, the next book I know he really liked because he talked about it a lot to me, and it is The Buffalo Knife. It is about a boy who has a buffalo knife, and him and his family are, I guess, moving and transporting down the Tennessee River, and he loses it, and I think at the end of the book he finds it. So he really liked this book, and I think he would say, I recommend this one. So wanted to share that with you. I'm going to show you a couple books I don't think he really finished, but I'm sharing them with you because he did pick them up. He was interested, I think, because of what they were about, but they were more, I think, more of like a history book. I really think they're meant more for older teens. But Alexander the Great, and a couple of these are actually part of the curriculum we use, just probably more in the older guides. But he was interested, and I said sure, because the reading is not huge or anything. It is simple reading, and I know some of my boys have read this other one I'm about to show you. They're actually Sterling Point books. So this is the Barbary Pirates, I think is how you say it, and I think one of my other boys read this one. So, but he said they were just not the easiest read. And also I do want to mention here that keep in mind that just because I'm showing you books that my 5th grader reads, you might have a child that is much more advanced than mine. I feel like he's pretty advanced. He understands everything he reads. Like, he probably understood this. It just was not, he likes to actually have a character and a story with it. He enjoys that best. And that's probably not what this is. So, but then you may have kids that may not be ready for a lot of these books yet, or just beginning to read some of this stuff. So between these ages, these 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, I mean, you just have a variety of levels of readers, and that is fine. I have one that was a reluctant reader, and there's a lot of these books that he would not read. So we had to find certain things for him. But I'm just showing you what he is reading. Just wanted to share that thought with you. A couple fun books he read was Tales from Dust River Gulch. We have had this book, and I didn't know if he would read it, but he saw it and he was like, what's that about? So he picked it up and he read it all. It must have been interesting enough for him. It's about some stories, but all the same characters, but different adventures, I think. And I know some of my other boys have read this series. I think there's a couple in the book, and it's from Journey Forth, and it says ages 9 to 12. So also, I picked this up at a thrift store recently, Rascal by Sterling North. My older boys listened to this on audio when they were younger. We have watched the movie, but it has been years since my 5th grader has seen it. He really didn't remember everything about it. So I found the book and I thought, I wonder if he would read it. And he actually sat down and started. He does like books. Like I said, he's just sort of in that stage where, sure, let me look at it. And he'll start it at least. But he did finish it, and I heard him laughing quite a bit through this. And it is about a boy who finds a baby raccoon and how it disrupts probably a whole town. So it's back in probably the early 1900s, and there is a movie about it. So we did watch that. But he said this is how he worded it. There's a lot of chapters that are not in the movie. So of course that's usually how it is, right? Here is a book that he actually just finished, The Sign of the Beaver. And this is one of those books that it has been one of our family read-alouds for years. I've read it to the boys several times. I actually read this to him and his older brother a couple years ago. But that's what I want to encourage you with. Especially when they're younger and you do read-alouds, it does not mean that they will not read it on their own later on. So I want to encourage you with that, to pull out those books that you use as read-alouds, and maybe it's been a few years and they need something to read. They'll probably end up reading it. So I know my second one, he was a huge reader and he would do that. So he read probably a couple times. So that is a really good book. And we have this series, Childhood of Famous Americans. I have a big pile. I didn't bring it all over here, just what he is reading, but I am suggesting this for this age, really 3rd and 4th. If they're strong readers, they could start then. I'll just sort of give you an idea what it looks like inside. So it is about more of their childhood, gives a little bit of ending of their life, but it's mostly about their younger years, which is good. And this is about John Glenn. Of course, he liked this one because he became a pilot. And then Andrew Jackson and Henry Ford. He read this one too, which is sort of neat because just recently somebody we knew actually had a Model T Ford, and we had the opportunity to ride in it. And that was so neat because he read this book, and I know all the boys are familiar with this story. So, all right, another set of books that we have a huge selection of, and these are just some of them that he wanted to pick off the shelf and read, is the Christian Heroes Then and Now and Heroes of History Then and Now. So he picked up John Flynn, and again, this is a book that I did as a read aloud a few years ago, and he really, really liked it. And he wanted, when you're younger, you really don't remember so much detail, especially when somebody else is reading it to you. So if they may be willing to read it again later on, and this is just about missions in Australia. So this was a really good book. And then he wanted to read about Douglas MacArthur, and actually this is probably a second. I hope it's not. It might be the 3rd time he's read it. I don't know. So wanted to share that with you. And again, that is a huge series. We have several of those books. I talk about them on several of my videos. If you're looking for something, and they say for 8 to 12, but I've read some of them to my high schoolers that I think would be, I mean, if an 8 to 12-year-old read it, it would just be above their comprehension. So just have to think about that character and the discernment. Like, we actually read Hudson Taylor, I think last semester, and that was really good. All right, this next one was actually an audio, and I'm going to share more books. I just wanted to share, this is on my next pile here. It is a Trailblazer books, and I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they are usually about, like this one is about David Livingstone. It's Escape from the Slave Traders. So it's usually about a particular historical character, either missions, and I think they have some from history, and then there's fictional characters within the story. So we actually have the book because I found a whole bunch of these at a thrift store for like $1. So, but I had purchased this at the homeschool convention last school year. It is an MP3 CD. So I don't have an MP3 player, and the computer wasn't really working for it. So we haven't listened to it at all. And I started realizing we had several that were MP3s, and I just broke down and went ahead and purchased just a small handheld one that he could listen to, and it's really loud enough we could all listen to it. So that was one of the things he listened to. A book that we actually bought recently at a used bookstore, and it is actually JFK World War II and the Heroic Rescue of PT 109 in Harm's Way. It is a scholastic book, and he really enjoyed it. We are familiar with this story. We have it actually on like an audio drama, but he really enjoyed reading this. He said there was a lot more information, a lot more details in here. They had little interesting things in here to tell you, or like trivias. They also had pictures. So just giving you an idea but it is a thicker book, but he really enjoyed that book. Also, I'm going to share some more audios he has listened to, and I have mentioned these before, but for this age, especially this age, these are great. And my boys have listened to these younger and have been older. They all enjoy them, but the Jonathan Park CDs, they are audio dramas. They are like a creation science from a Christian worldview. And we have 1 through 10, and that's really what I personally recommend for kids. I think after that, they had put out some new ones years later, and I feel like they're a little bit more of a older teenager, maybe even young adult in the way it presents itself. So I'm just we have enjoyed these adventures, but let me share. Okay, I think that was it. I feel like I'm forgetting something. But this is not including the books that we read with his school work. And I'll link a couple videos. I did a final review for his 5th grade and my 10th grader. I'll link those below. And maybe I will also link what we read together last semester. So those were a couple really good books. All right, let me mention a few things and that are more, I think, series. I think they're all series. But except, well, this one is a series, but this is the only book we have. I feel like we've had a couple more in the past, and my older boys read them when they were younger, and I must have got rid of them. And he picked this one up at the used bookstore, and they are American Adventures. And this is War Strikes. So this is more of the in-home end of the story, and he read through it. I think he does prefer something that is in the battle, but he read it. This next series is a really good series. It's actually, I found it through the curriculum that we use, which is Heart of Dakota. I don't know if I've said that yet, but we have read the first one in the series. We will read the second one this school year. But when my older boys were younger, we were doing the same thing, and the book sort of leaves you hanging, like you want the next one. But it's really good. Like, you really want to know what happens. So I'm like, we got to get those. So it is the Viking Quest. This is actually book 3, 4, and 5, I think, because I think I have 1 and 2 put with the curriculum. And just an adventure, starts in Ireland with a Christian family. I could go into a lot of detail. Gives you a lot to think about, really in a mature way for kids to really just think about their choices for the Lord. So this is a good set. Okay, another set, and I feel like I have mentioned these in the past, but like in a different type of video. So this is more like what my 5th grader has read and what he would read, and he has read these that I'm about to show you, just not recently. But it is the Sugar Creek Gang books, and I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they are written by Paul Hutchinson, and they're just stories of like 5 boys and their adventures. They're from Christian families, and it's sort of out in the country. I want to say Minnesota, but I could be wrong. If anybody is 100% familiar, tell me if I'm wrong. But this set has been around for years. I actually have some of it on audio. A couple of my boys have really enjoyed reading those. Few more things. This is actually a book, The Pilgrim's Progress, The Little Pilgrim's Progress. And like I said, this is a book that I read. Helen Taylor is the one I really, really like. And I read this to all my boys. A couple of them went back to read it again. So I thought about handing this to him because I think he would. I'm still debating on it because I think we're going to do the Pilgrim Progress study with his older brother this coming school year. All right. I have mentioned this set. This is Ivan, and just a boy from Russia and his Christian family and the stance that they make and the different things they go through. The Informer was the first one we read, and we really liked it. So I went ahead and purchased some more, and I think a couple of my boys have read through them. Secret in the Suitcase, American Journey, Hidden Bible, Daring Escape. So there's several of these. And this last set, I have mentioned Lamplighters several times in different videos. This one I've mentioned because we read it this school year. They just have great character building books, stories of adventure. A lot of them are written 1800s, early 1900s, I think. But it's amazing how well you could still just read them and they relate. So they're not hard to read. And also they have a lot of the books they have for the younger children, they have on audio drama. So I really highly suggest checking them online or getting a catalog because they do separate it in age appropriate. But these books, The White Knight and The Giant Killer, I actually have read both of these to him, but I would not have a problem with him picking them up and reading them again on his own. So, and we have more of those. I just don't have them all in front of me, but I just wanted to share those. All right, I hope that was helpful if you're looking for some books for that age group. And I will tell you, we also enjoy a lot of other type of books, but we do use living books for our curriculum. So a lot of them would be wrapped up in there. But I wanted to share this with you. I hope it was encouraging, maybe give you some ideas for the summer reading. And I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you again soon.